Good morning at Properties. I'm Tricia Riberto.
Morning, everybody. I'm Jim Barcelona, and we're coming to you live today from Naperville.
Now, we know a lot of you don't know where Naperville is, especially if you're within the city limits.
How's that even possible? It's Naperthrill, Tricia.
We call it Naper Vegas in Hinsdale. But in all seriousness, this is our new flagship office in DuPage County. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and we're super excited to be here today. You know, this feels kind of like a big day for us, kind of like a promotion.
I know, it's a huge day. I mean, Amy and Kevin are like local celebrities, and we just, we've kind of been called the B team. We're just happy to be the subs today.
Yeah, we couldn't be happier that you guys are on vacation. This is our moment to shine.
I know. Your hair looks good.
Oh, thanks. You noticed? Well, of course, the pressure, right? Of course, following in Kevin's footsteps, I had to go out and do something about that yesterday. So everybody, like or comment, my hair or Kevin's hair. Feel free.
Well, I know, we all know Kevin's got better hair. But that being said, we think you're really funny and smart. So
consolation
we'll give you
prize.
2 thumbs up for that.
Well, speaking of that and appearance, quarantine's been hard on everybody, but my gosh, you're looking good. It seems like, you dropped a few.
Thank you for noticing. I wore all black because, following Amy on camera is quite a bit of pressure. So I've been trying to really lose that quarantine 15. So thanks for noticing.
So I assume you would attribute that to your Peloton riding.
Okay, so I do have a Peloton. I've ridden it 40 times, but the problem is I've had it for 3.5 years.
Ooh.
I know. I do more hanging laundry on it than I really do using it. But that being said, one of these days, I'll get back at it.
Well, then clearly you must be having your drinks of choice that is keeping you, in the right frame of mind.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up because this has been on my mind. What is it? What are we're supposed to do? Coffee, tea?
Coffee or tea, power smoothie.
Or lemon water. All right. I want to address the forgotten beverage of the morning, which is the Diet Coke. I have to tell you,
Diet Coke.
I have been asking around, and I think there's a solid 20% of the company that starts their day with a Diet Coke, and I'm one of them. How about that? And lemon water. What exactly is lemon water?
So my version of lemon water may be slightly different than Amy's. Thank you, Thad. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, that's the lemon water. And I also, sometimes when I walk around the office, I see other things in people's cups. I don't know if that's just how we do it in the south and west suburbs.
Could it be the vodka-infused power smoothie?
Yeah, and I see the tequila-based
I'm not exactly sure what you're talking
coffee
about.
In the cups.
Oh, yes.
Speaking of the cups, we would really like some branded B Team cups, coffee cups. That would be great.
Yeah, if we could get an upgrade here. We thought we were cool at Starbucks, but
it would be great.
It would kind of be nice to have
we
mugs.
could have our own coffee cups.
Yeah,
they can say B Team.
B Team's fine.
We're cool with that.
Yeah, that works for us.
We don't hate that idea. Normally, you guys will email coffee at atproperties.com if you have any feedback, questions. If you have any feedback or questions for Jim and I, we would love for you to email bteam@atproperties.com. We are going to take the next 5 minutes of coffee and give you an education on what we think you need to be doing over the next 30 to 60 days to make sure you're super successful.
We definitely have some challenges coming up in the fall market. I think there's tremendous opportunity. I think we're going to see a better balance in the market that we haven't seen for a lot of the year. So much in the suburbs have been weighted toward a heavy seller's market. The city has seen a nice rebound. But I think the challenge we're all going to face kind of as we head into the fall is managing seller expectations, right? Because I think what's going to happen is that the sellers are going to have an expectation of a price that maybe was achieved in February up here, and we kind of know the reality is somewhere closer to here. And so we're going to have to figure out how we bridge that gap in the middle.
Yeah, so if I was still selling right now, I would be preparing myself to answer the question when a seller wants the price from February, all of their terms, how am I going to manage that? And whenever I would go into a listing presentation, I knew I was going to have a tough conversation, I always started with data. When you try to tell a seller that there's a subtle shift in the market, that's not going to work. You have to really show them. So if we look at the slides, here is a graph of Cook County and the inventory over the last 3 years. And if you look towards the end of the slide, you're going to see inventory bottoming out in this February, March period. This was the bottom. This was, from a supply and demand standpoint, this was the very best spot to be a seller. And now you can see over the last 30, 60, 90 days, inventory is subtly starting to climb up. And so we all know that the market dynamics are based on supply and demand. So if the supply is inching up a bit, and then if the demand is coming down, that's where you're going to see a subtle shift in the marketplace. So this next graph is the under contracts. Same deal. This is all of Cook County. You can see contracts peaking, and all of a sudden over the last 30 to 60, 90 days, contracts are coming down subtly. These two subtle tweaks are what are causing the start of a subtle shift in the market where sellers just have to be a little bit more realistic.
So that being said, we have to really talk about what the pricing strategies would be, right? And so the data is a critical talking point and starting point. But what would be the conversation specifically that you'd have related to comps, and all the particulars of pricing right now?
So I think the most important thing is to think logically about the comps. If we look at the last 90 days and we really focus on the closed comps over the last 90 days, those comps have the 5 and 10% price growth that has happened in a lot of our marketplaces already factored in. So I encourage you to use the comps from the last 90 days for your pricing baseline. Don't price over those comps. Explain to your seller that those prices already have that appreciation and inflation built into them. Do not go over those prices.
I love that. So then it would be probably fair to say then, if I was sitting with the seller, I would say, hey, listen, we want to really kind of target the price at which we think the property is going to trade at.
Right.
Because if we can do that, then we can maximize exposure for the property. We can drive the most number of showings and potentially still put you in a situation where multiple buyers are competing for your property. But if we kind of miss the market and we miss those data points that you're showing, then we may sit. And then everybody knows when you sit, right, you run the risk of a price change. When a buyer sees a price change, what's the first thing they think? Well, there's probably another price change, right? And so we really want to use that data and those talking points and those strategies to really hone in on where we think the property will trade at and price it accordingly. So let's pivot for a minute now and talk about buyers, right? So buyer fatigue, that has been, sort of at least in the suburbs, that's been the first half of the conversation this year. That's been the narrative. Yeah. So when you think about buyer fatigue, there's two parts to it, right? There's the reality of what has transpired, but then there's the opportunity, I think, that we need to be looking at. So what would be the conversations you'd be having right now, Tricia, with everyone that you showed homes to in the first part of the year? They fell off the map, they got exhausted, what have you. What's that conversation look like right now?
Yeah, I think this is a great time to go back to buyers you met at open houses, buyers that you talked to online, sellers that decided not to sell because there was nothing to buy. You're going to use the exact same graphs. Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, the market was so crazy because the supply was so low and the demand was so high. That's what gave us those conditions that made it not fun to be a buyer this year. If you can see, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, the inventory is coming up a little bit and the demand is coming down a little bit, and we still have these ultra low interest rates. Those are the tools and resources that you need to explain and put in front of a buyer so that they understand it's a great time to get back into the market.
Definitely. So opportunities, for both sellers and buyers, right?
Yeah.
Better balance in the market, which we've all been looking for. So I'm actually really optimistic for the fall market. I think we're going to see a big pop, but I think that you need to be positioned to have the right conversations to capitalize on the opportunity that's in front of us. So how do you think we did today, Tricia?
I don't know why Kevin and Amy always act like this is so hard.
I mean, seriously?
I know.
No problem.
I know, so easy.
None of this makes any sense. What are you doing? What the hell are you wearing?
Not today, Barcelona. Not today.
This isn't working. This is not going to come together. I don't feel good about this.
Tim, get it together. This is why we're the B team. All right. Well, That's a wrap. Thanks for letting us hang out with you guys today.
Thanks, everybody. Really enjoyed it. We very much look forward to Amy and Kevin's next vacation, so you can see us again with our live coffee with
the B team.
The B team. So remember, you know where to find us. What's that email address?
bteam@atproperties.com.
Thanks, everybody.